to the Ball Oasis show. Y'all, we are 1 week out from NBA regular season action. It's so crazy that we're already here. I know that this offseason has felt like a long one. We started the last episode with that, but man, it's just so good to have it back. Everything is kind of back in full swing. We got the storylines going, whether they be good or bad. Um, Jacob, how are you feeling being 1 week out from the NBA season, man?
I'm excited. Finally get to watch, basketball. I know preseason's going on, but I'll say competitive basketball. Um, Excited to see how a lot of the teams turn out, teams and players, how everything turns out. Ready to get away from the dry off season.
Yeah. We see right now in the preseason, some teams are kind of doing different things, playing with rotations, trying to get different players going into the season, trying to get them in a rhythm. So it's been kind of weird to see how some teams have matched up. So the preseason has been a little funky, but it's produced some good content, Jacob. Real quick before we start what we're going to do today, has anything in particular stood out to you in the preseason?
Um, Not that I know of, besides like some teams being really bad, like the Hornets. Kind of, I know it's preseason, but they've been playing kind of bad to me. Like even for preseason. But
Yeah, those things are kind of hard to gauge in the preseason because you can't really tell how hard a
yeah,
team may be trying or, what they're trying to do because the focus on the preseason is not to try to win basketball games.
yeah, it's
Ultimately, it
roster.
doesn't go on your record. So you're really just trying to develop a rhythm, see what rotations work, work on your plays, do things of that nature. So I take everything right now, especially with a grain of salt, but it can be a little telling going into the season how some players might look.
Right.
I haven't watched a single second of Hornets preseason basketball, so I have no idea what they look like.
I
Let's
watched
talk.
a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk for a second though before we start this segment. Let's talk about Draymond Green, Jordan Poole. So I've always been a big Draymond Green guy. Draymond Green's been one of my favorite players in the league for a while now. I think that his impact is probably he has one of the most underrated impacts in NBA history. I think he's one of the greatest team defenders in NBA history. And he has some accolades to prove it, but I think that he is still criminally underrated, especially on the defensive end and as a playmaker as well. But man, we know that he's had some off the court issues and stuff before with guys like Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
but man, this is just a whole different thing because I think collectively, I know for me, of course, whenever I saw that headline that Jordan Poole and Draymond Green got into an altercation at practice, I was like, okay, they probably just
Push
exchange
and stuff.
words,
Yeah.
shove, maybe a shove or two, but no, that punch had some intent behind it, and I can't really let that go. Jacob, what were your initial thoughts after seeing that video?
After seeing the video, it was kind of hard to gauge it, like what would cause it like that, because it didn't look bad at all. Like it wasn't, nobody kind of stepped in before it happened. Like it was really like getting escalating really far.
Yeah,
But it's just kind of, what could it have been? And all the rumors that were came out with it, kind of don't know what to believe, what to believe. So it really just kind of had to, I guess, get the full story of it. But it was very shocking for him to do that. I mean, he's had his problems with teammates, but that I guess was very shocking to me.
yeah, and it's weird too because I mean, just last season, seeing the chemistry that the Warriors developed with each other, and over the past couple of years, they have some of the best team chemistry in the NBA. And Draymond Green, as a vocal leader, has a lot to do with that. And of course, at times he may call guys out of their name, but it's usually in with good intention
Good intent.
behind it. That punch did not have good intention
No,
behind it, man. It's
no,
it's scary to see because I've seen reports, I've seen Mark Spears, I've seen credible people report that Kevon Looney and Andre Iguodala are the ones who are kind of holding the team together right now, and it's not really the core three guys. That's a little scary to me, especially with those young guys that they have and are trying to develop along and maybe implement into the rotation this year. It scares me, man.
yeah, it kind of. I know Kevon Looney said he'd have to like earn the trust back of the teammates and stuff. So that could kind of carry into the season a little bit, the chemistry wise. But
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to kind of judge it right now.
yeah, they're a tough team to gauge right now, along with a bunch of other teams in that Western Conference. It's just really turned into really there's a lot of confusion going on around a lot of teams. So, I mean, the Western Conference looks like it could go any direction. I'm not feeling very comfortable with my preseason picks just being 2 weeks removed. So, yeah, that's where we sit. That's where we stand right now. But with that to the side, let's get into the segment that we've got today. We had the hot takes episodes over the summer. We really, really enjoyed doing those. So to bring in the new season on a good note, I think that we should bring that back here today. And we have some hot takes for the upcoming season to present to you guys. I think we'll just do 5 apiece. I think we'll only have time to do about 5 apiece.
Yeah.
So without further ado, oh yeah, and for this, we're going to try to talk about some teams and some people that maybe we haven't talked about as much. Maybe I know it feels like we talk about the Warriors and the Pelicans and teams like that a lot. So we'll try to get a little diverse with some of our takes today. So Jacob, I want you to go ahead and start with your first take.
Yeah, I'll try to keep some of it, short as possible, not make it too long. My first take is the Minnesota Timberwolves will be a top 3 seed in the West.
Okay. What do you have to say about this one?
I don't know how to judge it because anything could happen, especially with the West this year. But I don't know. Everything would have to go right, in my opinion, for them to get that high. Obviously, it could happen. They added Rudy Gobert. I guess the main problem with that is Chris Finch, even though I kind of had him in my Coach of the Year voting. But I think it could happen, especially watching Phoenix. I know it's preseason, but like a lot of drama and chemistry questions with that too. And I guess injuries, if players that are normally hurt, Anthony Davis, Kawhi, PG, anything could happen. It'd be kind of hard though. If the West is at its best, it'd be kind of hard for them. It'd be hard for them to get top 3.
Yeah, I think that this is a great. Wait, say what you're gonna say.
I would say I think it all depends on the kind of leap Anthony Edwards has too, and how how D'Lo has his. I don't want to say comeback year, but kind of better this year. Plays better this year.
Right. Yeah, I think that this is an extremely hot take. Maybe not extremely hot, but it's a hot take in my opinion. Just because I think there's so many moving parts that are going to have to, figure out how to play with each other. And right. I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a while for those play styles to mesh. I think that Karl-Anthony Towns is going to take a little bit to, really find where he thrives the best in the offense. I think that D'Angelo Russell is really going to have to step it up if they want to be a top 3 team in the West and try to contend this year.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell will have to have a much better season than he did last year. I thought about putting him as a most improved player candidate, but that's a best case scenario type thing for D'Angelo Russell. And with Anthony Edwards kind of surpassing him, taking more shots than him, being a higher scoring option than him, that kind of limits his opportunity. So I thought that over the offseason he would be traded, honestly.
Yeah.
They've got pieces. They've got the talent. I think that they've got the talent to do it, and I think that they will really kind of bear down in the regular season and go hard to, have the best record that they possibly can going into the playoffs. I trust them more in the regular season than I do in the playoffs. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah.
But I still think top 3 is a stretch. I think top 3 is a stretch for me right now.
Yeah. Like I said, I think everything would have to go right for them. But I guess I'll have a better idea 20 to 30 games in, maybe. They might not even have it figured out until All-Star break, but who knows? Have to see how that team plays together.
Yeah. That was a pretty hot take. And for my first one, I'm going to start out with a pretty hot one as well. We're going to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to jump right into the Los Angeles Lakers. And this anonymous person said that the Los Angeles Lakers will exceed their preseason expectations and be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference, avoiding the play-in. So here's my dilemma with the Los Angeles Lakers. At the top, we know that LeBron and Anthony Davis, in the best case scenario, can have the Lakers as a top 6 seed in the West. They also, like the Timberwolves, though, have so many moving pieces. And I said it in the Western Conference standings predictions. I don't trust in that. I've told people off camera that I don't trust in that. And while LeBron and Anthony Davis might be able to do so much for you, we know how LeBron is now in the regular season, especially with him being at the age that he is. He kind of likes to coast in the regular season so he can save himself for the playoffs. I don't see the Lakers being a top 6 seed. I give that about a 20% chance of happening. And so many things would have to go right for that to happen. Their offense would have to be really, really good. I said that I think that their defense will be much improved, but they'll have to do some things well that they didn't do well last year.
Yeah, that could be the hottest take we hear. But I guess my thing with it is I don't like their depth at all.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Who do you trust off their bench? Name me one person that you trust consistently off their bench, their projected bench. I mean, Russell Westbrook might be coming off their projected bench. We still don't know.
I don't even know if I trust that.
Ouch.
I don't even know. Patrick Beverley, maybe. I don't like it at all. I don't like their depth at all.
You see, the first name that came to my mind was Kendrick Nunn, and immediately my answer was no, I don't trust that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Lakers, top 6 seed. LeBron and Anthony Davis would have to go nuclear. They would have to be Iron Men in the regular season. And at their current state and at LeBron's current age, unlikely to happen. Unlikely to happen right now.
Yeah, and I feel like they try to rest those two a lot too. And I don't know how the Lakers can handle without those two, especially at the same time, if they don't stagger it. But
right.
I don't see any chance of it happening unless every team just gets injured. I can't.
The first two have kind of been a best case scenario type thing. As you'll see, some of these might be best or worst case scenario. So Jacob, go ahead and give me your second take.
My second take is the Sacramento Kings were in their playoff drought and at least make it to the first round.
Wow. Okay, so answer me this before you get into your spiel. Who are they beating in the play-in? Who do you think that they would have to beat in the play-in to get there? Let's break this down.
All right.
I think, me personally, I think it would be either the team on my chest or the LA Lakers. I think that those would be the teams that they would have to beat. And I could see them only beating one of those teams in a one-game scenario. And
yeah.
It's the team on my chest, unfortunately.
Really? Opposite. I think they could beat the Lakers.
In a one-game scenario, no. LeBron is too great. He's too great.
Yeah, but the thing is, Dame
is great too. Dame doesn't miss the playoffs, but
right.
All it would take for Portland is one bad shooting night. That's all it would take because they're not going to defend well. The Kings are going to score points. And in a track meet, I don't know how much I trust Portland, honestly, with their depth this year. Go ahead and say what you're going to say, though.
Yeah, I can see that. I would say I can see them beating the Lakers, especially if there's an injury involved with LA. Even healthy, not as, I guess, spirited on it, but I could very well see it happen because it is one game. Anything can happen. LeBron and AD can have an off night. Do you trust Russ, Pat Bev to do something, step up? So, and I kind of like the Kings. I know they improved during the offseason, but I don't think they can make that push. They can maybe make the play-in push, but playoffs, I highly doubt it. And whoever does play in first round, if they did make it, easy. Kind of a rest round maybe.
Yeah, I know that I said that we were taking preseason with a grain of salt, but the Sacramento Kings have looked good in their preseason games. They've got the ball well. They've won both games by 30-plus points. And De'Aaron Fox looks good. Domantas Sabonis looks good. Keegan Murray looks really good.
Keegan Murray might sneak into I think I had him 3 for Rookie of the Year. He might sneak up there.
Yeah. So, man, I would love to see the Sacramento Kings get in as like the 8 seed. That would just be fun. I know that their fan base is probably the most depressed fan base in all of sports at this point.
Right.
So they deserve it at this point. And I know that they've had their years where they've pushed for it before. But like you said, if a team gets injured or if Portland looks kind of like they do right now and they play shaky, the Kings could surpass some teams and get into like that 9 or 10 spot. And what it might take is them winning 2 games to get into the play-in. Do I think they can win 2 games? No, I don't think they can win 2 games. But can they win 1 game? Yeah. I think that they have the possibility to win 1 game.
All they need to do is just get hot at the right time. If they get hot at the end of the season, it could happen.
Look, another team who might be in that mix, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think that the Kings could beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in a 1-game match. Would I choose the Kings to beat the Timberwolves? No, probably not. But I think they could.
They very well could, yeah. Like I said, I guess first few teams, best case scenario.
Yeah.
The absolute best for the Kings, but
I said in the Western Conference standings, I'm just excited to watch the Kings play basketball this year, which is something I haven't been able to say for a very, very long time.
I didn't watch a single Kings game last year unless Philly played them.
Yeah.
And I barely wanted to watch that.
Yeah. So I would love to see it, but best case scenario type thing, I think in a 1-game scenario, there's a good possibility, but if they're the 9 or the 10 seed and they have to win 2 games and go on the road and win a game, I'm betting against the Kings. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think
especially with as little as experiences they have.
Yeah, I think best case they can make the 10 seed and maybe win 1 playing game. Maybe like I guess if they lose, win that 1.
Baby steps for the Kings, though.
Yeah,
baby steps. So the second hot take that I have kind of has to do with the play-in, around the play-in area as well, but in the Eastern Conference. And I've got an anonymous person saying that the Atlanta Hawks will be the 9 seed in the Eastern Conference and will lose in the play-in and miss the playoffs. I know that over the preseason, the Atlanta Hawks have gained some hype. I've had some people tell me that, like, oh, I can see the Atlanta Hawks being like a top 4 seed in the East. You've told me that.
Not top 4. I said they'd be good, but not top 4.
You said that it's possible.
It's possible. It could be possible.
So they're receiving some praise right now. They have a lot of moving parts as well with DeJounte Murray. I've seen good things from him though in the preseason. I've seen him kind of run the pick and roll with John Collins, do some good things. They look pretty good. But this is kind of in that opposite direction, the 9 seed and missing the playoffs. So let's break down the Eastern Conference play-in. So teams around that range would be the Chicago Bulls,
the Hawks,
would be the Hawks, would be the Toronto Raptors, and would be like the Knicks or like the Wizards or something. That's what we're projecting. It might be different teams when we get to that point, but that's what we project. In a 1 or 2 game scenario, do we trust the Hawks to beat the Toronto Raptors?
Yes.
My answer is yes.
I'll do 1, maybe 2, but I do like the Raptors. I like their lineup, I'll say, because I don't know much about their bench. But yeah, I think they could.
Yeah, my answer to that question is yes. I think that I would pick the Hawks to beat the Raptors. Do you pick the Hawks to beat the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah.
My answer is yes as well. And so, Knicks, Wizards, I assume your answer is yes.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, no matter what seed, picking the Hawks to beat all of those teams puts them in the playoffs. So, this is just our opinion, of course, but I think this is a hot take. I think this is a hot take because even though some people are saying that the Hawks might finish as a top 4 seed, I'm not buying that. But I think that they have a realistic shot to be a top 6 team in the East and miss the play-in. And I think that even if they are a play-in team, that they won't play bad for 2 games. They're too good of a team to struggle for 2 games and miss the playoffs, especially with the competition that they'd likely be going up against. That's my take on it.
I think the best case they could get the 6th seed. I don't know if they could get higher or not. I know I said that I'm pretty high on them, but that's counting on, I guess, Brooklyn imploding mid-season and maybe Miami or Cleveland kind of struggling.
Yeah, I had the Hawks at 7 going into the season, so that would put them in the play-in, and I would have them playing the Raptors in that first play-in game. It would be a home game. It'd be in Atlanta. I'm picking the Hawks.
Yeah, I think I had them at 8. Maybe 8 something.
Yeah, you had the Raptors at 7. So in that case scenario, let's talk about that. In Toronto, with that home court advantage, Toronto versus Atlanta, one game. Who you got?
I think I'm going with Toronto.
Okay.
Because I kind of watched their crowd last year, so it is. I think in that environment, one game, I think Toronto can pull it out.
Okay. So that would mean the Hawks lose, and they'll play the 9-10, which would be either for you, it would be the Bulls or the Knicks. So
right.
Home game in Atlanta. I assume that you have the Hawks winning that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think that we both kind of are off this one. I think this is a hot take. I think this is a hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for my third hot take, I have the Pelicans will make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Whew. Okay. Let me ask you this question. Do you think the Pelicans are more suited for a good regular season or a postseason run? Which one do you think?
Probably
I know my answer.
Watching them last year, I want to say the playoffs, but I really don't know. I might say regular season.
I'm going to say with Zion Williamson on the team, who's someone who has not played in the playoffs, I'm going to say the regular season.
Yeah.
That's why I have them at number 3 in my standings. That's why they're as high as they are, because I think that they're suited for the regular season. I think they'll come out with energy every night. Go on with what you were saying about the Pelicans.
We saw what they did last year against the 1 seed, but I guess it all depends on if Zion stays healthy, or at least playoff time healthy. If they can, if he's unhealthy for a stretch of the year, they still can make it. But I really think it just depends on matchups.
Yeah.
If you have
let me present a situation to you. Okay. So I think that we're in agreement that the Pelicans are probably a second-tier West team. Are you in agreement with that? You got the top tier, which are like the Suns and the Warriors, presumably, and like the Clippers. Even though I had them at the 7th seed. But so we said that the Pelicans are a second-tier team. Okay. So in the playoffs, in that second tier, in the first round, they likely be matched up with either the Memphis Grizzlies, the Denver Nuggets, or the Dallas Mavericks. How many of those teams do you trust the New Orleans Pelicans to beat? I can only say one team.
Yeah, I'll say 1, maybe 2, but I'll say confidently 1.
That's Memphis.
I had Dallas.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
but
they're not beating Luka at this point. I don't think they beat Luka at this point.
Now I can see Memphis. Now, I would love to see that playoff matchup personally, but confidently I can say Dallas. But it is Luka. Ooh. I said they could beat Memphis though in a playoff series.
And a lot of my answer comes down to experience. The Pelicans are a team that outside of CJ McCollum lack experience in the playoffs. They got it last year in the first round against the Suns, but compared to a guy like Luka, who's been to the Western Conference Finals, to Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets, who have been to the Western Conference Finals as well, the odd team out of those 3 teams is the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, and even then, I don't feel great about the Pelicans in that series either. I think that that's a 50-50 series.
I think it'd go to 7.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50 series.
So
with that being said, I think that we are both in agreement that the Pelicans are more suited for the regular season than the postseason.
Yeah.
But the Western Conference Finals, man.
Like we said, it just depends on matchups. That's with both East and West, especially how deep both conferences are.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say
yeah,
no. I don't think the Pelicans get to the Western Conference Finals. I give that like a 20% chance as well.
I'll say
Maybe
no.
not even that high.
Yeah, the only way I see it is if maybe they play Memphis first round and somehow play maybe
Like the Suns.
Yeah, maybe the Suns second round. Then I could maybe see it.
Yeah. That would probably be the most likely path for them. But even then, I'm not trusting too much in that. But in the regular season, I think they'll be great. But I don't know. I just think they lack some playoff experience outside of CJ and
Yeah,
Valanciunas, maybe. I don't know.
like I said, a lot of it is health based, especially with Zion.
Yeah. So man, we haven't really been able to agree with any of these so far. I'm gonna try to give one that we can agree on though, at least maybe to an extent. Maybe we'll see. This is the first individual player hot take, and this one is that Paul George will be a top 5 scorer in the NBA this season. He will be top 5 in points per game. It came out today. Paul George did an interview today where he basically deflected, saying that he's the second option to Kawhi, saying that their egos don't get in the way with how they play on the court. But I think even then, I think in an average game, and the stats have backed this up before with them two playing together, Paul George takes more shots than Kawhi Leonard does. Paul George has the ball in his hands for just as much time as Kawhi Leonard does on offense. So with that being said, efficiency-wise, Kawhi beats him out efficiency-wise. But if Paul George has an efficient shooting season, I think it's possible. And he hasn't been top 5 scoring since his MVP season, where he finished top 3 in MVP with OKC. But with that Clippers team, for them to be a top seed in the West, I think Paul George might be the leading scorer on that team. I think he will. What do you feel about it, Jacob?
I could see it, but do you think it'd be top 5 though in the league?
Maybe not. That's a good point. Maybe not. So I'm gonna break down who I think my top 5 scorers will be.
We might have the same.
A rough estimate.
Yeah, we might have the same 5 close to it.
So I think Luka will be a top 5 scorer this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Giannis will be a top 5 scorer. I still think Joel Embiid will be a top 5 scorer this season. I think Bradley Beal will be a top 5 scorer. I don't think they'll be good.
Yeah.
But I think in his last two seasons that he's really played, Bradley Beal's averaged over 30 points both years.
Yeah.
That's what I go off of.
Yeah.
And for that 5th spot, I think there are a couple of guys. I think Paul George is in the group of guys who could be. I think Damian Lillard will be in that group this year.
What about?
I think that potentially Nikola Jokic will be in that group this year. I think that, probably not Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's regular season scoring isn't usually crazy. I think John Morant could be up there.
Trae Young, maybe.
Yeah, Trae Young is a good pick. So that 5th player pool, it could go either way. I would like to see Paul George be a top 5 scorer, though. I want to see a really good PG-13 season.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Like I said, that top 5, the 5th spot. I'm not gonna say it could be anybody, but it could be anybody.
And I don't know, maybe Bradley Beal has another year where he struggles, maybe to get back from injury, or maybe Dame struggles to come back from injury. He struggles to shoot the ball, and it opens up where Paul George has a good opportunity to be a top 5 scorer.
I'll say the one I could see the most out of the 5, besides Paul George, would maybe be Ja.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because Jokic has Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. coming back.
I don't think that matters.
You don't?
No.
Dame I could see.
I think Dame will take a lot of shots this season.
Yeah, I could see Dame. Beal I could understand, but do you think Kuz and Porzingis will take a lot of shots too?
No, I don't think he will disrupt Bradley Beal's production. No.
Okay.
Maybe I was a little premature to agree with that one. I just wanted to.
I could see it. I could see it, but I mean,
I hope so.
yeah, I do too. I hope he has a good year.
Yeah. Man, I'm trying to like fully agree. I'm trying to like fully get into one.
Yeah, I could agree to it, but it's. Can you say confidently he'll have more points per game than Kawhi?
No, I can't say that confidently, but
He,
if I had to give like a percentage to it, I'm 60% sure. I think that he'll take more shots than Kawhi will. And if they have like roughly the same efficiency, I think what might put Kawhi over Paul George is the amount of free throws that he'll shoot. That's what I think will probably, if he has more than him, I think that's what it would be.
Okay, because
I also think that Paul George will play more games than Kawhi this season, so he'll be in like a better rhythm in the regular season.
Also, I could see John Wall, but I think he's coming off the bench. It's just the Clippers are deep, but they might go to Paul George a lot though.
I don't think John Wall is going to take shots away from anybody on that.
Yeah, I think he'll just kind of lead the bench unit if he does come off the bench. I don't know, but yeah, I can see it. I hope he has a good year.
Do you have any out of your two left that you think that we might agree with? Because I was looking at mine and I'm struggling. I'm struggling. That's why they're hot. They're hot takes for a reason, I guess.
There's one I'm 50-50 on.
Let it go.
I don't think you would agree with it. I'm close. Not close to agreeing, but I'm kind of up there.
Spit it out.
Donovan Mitchell is the missing piece, and the Cavs will make a deep playoff run this year.
Yeah, I can't say I agree. But tell me how you feel. Why are you 50-50 about this one?
I'm not going to say I agree, but I'm not going to say it's completely out of the question either. Like we said, it is all matchups based. And I'm excited. I've kind of got a little bit in the preseason to see how Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland pair up. Mm-hmm. Also, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and I don't remember if I don't think I had Evan Mobley as my like defensive player of the year candidate. I don't believe I did, but he's kind of like could be dark horse for it maybe. But I don't know. It's matchup based, and I don't think Donovan Mitchell's had a playoff series like the bubble,
right?
At all.
He hasn't been great outside of that series in the playoffs.
And the only thing I'll give to Cleveland about it would be they should have been in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, they should have.
If it wasn't for injuries, but I don't know. I guess it's matchup based.
Here's where I sit on this one.
I think
say what you're gonna say.
Before you start, I think they're set for the future, like the next few years. But I could see the possibility of it happening this year. I'm not gonna say real deep, but I think their ceiling would be. I think the ceiling would be the second round exit. Matchup based, maybe. Well, I don't know.
Can I tell you how I feel about it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this one is exactly like the Pelicans one. I think it's
everything else. Yeah,
it's the exact same scenario where you have a young team, where you have a new guy who you're implementing into that starting lineup who could be the first option on your team, where you're a team who has little to no playoff experience outside of Kevin Love.
Yeah.
They're a very young team who has not really touched the playoffs. It's hard. It's hard to gauge the Cavs, and I think that they will be more built towards the regular season in this first year where they all play together.
Right.
But I think this would be like the bridge year for them to gain that experience and lead into the next couple of years where they can really make a run for something.
Yeah.
I don't think in the playoffs they compete with the Bucks. They can't do it. I don't think in the playoffs they compete with the Celtics. I don't think they compete with the Sixers. I know I said that maybe they beat the Heat in a playoff series. I don't think the Cavs beat the Heat in a playoff series. I don't think they do.
That's where I'm like 50-50 on the top. The first three, I agree.
Yeah.
But the Heat,
I don't think so.
I like the experience of the Heat.
Playoffs are just so different. They're so different.
Now, I think I want to say my 7 down. I feel comfortable with Cleveland, maybe.
Yeah.
But Brooklyn, I don't know. I guess I'll take Brooklyn in a 7-game series,
I'm
but
taking Brooklyn over Cleveland.
yeah,
It's hard. It's a
I
hard
don't know.
gauge, especially when we still
It really
haven't seen
depends.
them play on the
Yeah.
court at all.
Right. It really just depends on, I guess, like you said, been saying for a while, matchups and injuries, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
I'm in agreement with you that I think that their ceiling this season is a second round exit. I think that they could win a first round playoff series.
yeah.
But beyond that, I don't think. Then they would probably be matched up against one of those top 3 teams afterwards. And I don't think that they have a real shot at beating one of them.
Yeah.
Without injuries, I don't think they have a shot.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I think they're built for the future, next few years. But I think the core, I guess, main 4 now is under contract 3-4 years. So I think they're built for the future instead of now. But I don't know. Could be like a Hawks from a few years ago. Just everything goes right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So for my fourth one, this is another kind of play-in based one. It's the Orlando Magic. This person says that the Orlando Magic play well as a unit and sneak into the play-in in this upcoming season. So I thought about this one a little bit. I don't agree. I'm in disagreement with this one, just because with them there are still so many moving pieces as well. A lot of guys haven't touched the court together, and they don't really have any offensive weapons outside of Paolo Banchero and maybe Franz Wagner to facilitate. They don't have any consistent offensive weapons.
Yeah.
Their defense last season was like top half of the league. Their defense was solid. They played pretty good defense, but their offense was abysmal. They're just really inefficient. They don't shoot the 3 ball well at all. I think they'll be like a bottom 5 3-point shooting team again. Do I think that they win more games this season? Yes, I do. Do I think that they have the potential to be a top 12 seed in the East? Maybe. Things would have to go right. And I think that they'll be a team who tries to lose games. So I think that they'll probably go in the opposite direction, probably on purpose.
Yeah.
They've dealt with injuries over the past few seasons. We still have no idea about Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up too.
Yeah. And we see that Jalen Suggs just barely missed a terrible injury to his knee. So who knows when he'll be available. So there's just so many moving pieces, and they're super, super young. Don't really play great as a unit yet, but there's some talent on that team. I get why this was a take. There's some talent on that team. I think that they're more talented than a lot of the other bottom tier teams in the league. So maybe just buying into the hype a little bit. I can understand this take, but I'm gonna say no. A pretty emphatic no.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Already dealing with injuries. I don't think they just want to be good that bad. At least not this year. So like you said, they'll probably try to lose some games.
Yeah.
Especially with the draft class. This upcoming next year. Yeah, I can't see it. I can't see the other teams kind of 11 through maybe 9 just falling that far. 12 maybe through 9 or 10.
Yeah, think about the teams above them. There's teams who have touched the playoffs before, like the Knicks and the Bulls and the Raptors.
Yeah.
The Magic don't have a shot. They don't have a shot, honestly, at being better than those teams. And watch them prove us wrong or something. And I hope it does.
I wouldn't mind it happening, but it
would be cool. It would be cool to see, like, Paolo Banchero, Rookie of the Year. He averages 23 points and 10 rebounds and
leads
is the best rookie of all time. But
it'd be interesting.
The odds of that happening,
0. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, Jacob, go ahead and give me your last hot take.
All right. So my last hot take. Ooh. Zach LaVine will duplicate DeMar DeRozan's big year last year, or outstanding year.
What do you think that would take from DeMar DeRozan's standpoint? Would he have to take a back seat for that to happen, do you think? Or do you think that's something where Zach LaVine just kind of naturally passes him as the first option on that team? What do you think?
I think he'd have to take a back seat.
Okay.
And I could see it happening too, especially. It's hard to see it, but I could. It's slight, I think, with Lonzo being out. But I don't know.
Can I tell you what I think about this one? I think that Zach LaVine will take a lot of shots this season. I think that he consistently puts up numbers.
Yeah.
But he's kind of been labeled before, and I don't like using this term because it's such a loosely thrown around term. He's been labeled as an empty stats guy. And what we saw last season from DeMar DeRozan with the stats that he got, those stats they equated directly to Chicago Bulls wins. They had to have those performances from him to win. Yeah. Outside of just the numbers, he was hitting game winners. He was making clutch shots. He was doing all that down the stretch. So for Zach LaVine, in the description of the take, to take that DeMar DeRozan type leap into like a second team All-NBA caliber player, he has to have the moments along with it, you know. He can't just come out and average 26, 27 points, just a few points more than he usually does. And like, oh, Zach LaVine is taking this big leap. He's the number one option on this team. DeMar DeRozan did it last year, so we should give him the same, you know, respect that we gave DeMar DeRozan.
Would you be confident in? I forgot when it was, but DeMar had that stretch of, was it 30 or 40 plus point games?
I think I remember, yeah.
When he was like top 5, they had him like top 5 briefly for the MVP voting. Would you be confident in LaVine being there?
No, not at all.
I wouldn't. So
not at all.
I said I could see it happening, but I don't think there's a good chance that it will.
Another thing that would have to happen is the Chicago Bulls would have to win games. They would have to win games for that to happen, because at the first half of the season last year, the Chicago Bulls were the 1 seed for a bit. If you remember, the Bulls were a 1 seed before they started losing every game to a good team.
Yeah, they couldn't win. I think they were like 0-14 at one point against.
Yeah, they were one of the best shooting teams the first half of the season, and just kind of plummeted off a cliff after that. So, no, I don't think that this is capable of happening for Zach LaVine. I think that his numbers will look good. I think that his efficiency could even be good, but as long as it doesn't equate to wins and maybe have those moments along with it, I think that this is kind of a dead narrative.
Yeah, I don't think I could picture it happening.
Plus, I still think DeMar DeRozan is the guy. I think even with all that being said, we're talking like Zach LaVine would overtake him as the number 1 option, which I don't think happens. I still think
I'll say
the guy.
I don't want to say it happened, but if DeMar somehow did get injured, they're not winning games, I don't think.
Yeah, me either.
So because we already have them pretty low.
That's the thing. Yeah.
I couldn't see them winning games, especially if more injuries come up.
Right. You want to end with some comedy, Jacob? Let me give you my last take. Let's end with some comedy. You'll love this one. You'll love this one. I want to hear your take on this one first. This person gave me an original take that I'll tell you after I tell you this one. So, to end off this episode, Ben Simmons is going to attempt 1 3-point shot per game this upcoming season. 1 3 per game, which would equate to 82 3-point attempts at the end of the season, assuming he plays every game. You want to know what's crazy?
What?
At first, this person said he would attempt 2 3-pointers a game.
I think something just came up and I had to leave. No. I would trust Andre Drummond. After yesterday, I would trust Andre Drummond shooting a 3 more than Ben Simmons.
He was 3 for 3. He was sparking that joint.
I would trust him.
It looked good, which is so crazy. It actually looked good.
Since I know Ben, I would trust Matisse Thybulle attempting 3 3-pointers a game before I trust Ben attempting 1 per game.
Yikes.
That's saying something.
That's a tough crowd.
So,
Can I get serious though for a second?
Yeah.
So, no, this won't happen. I can already tell you right now, this won't happen. But the thing is, with Ben Simmons on the Brooklyn Nets, they don't need him to do that. With the Sixers team, you know, you had Joel Embiid, who was in the paint most of the time. So that's why they wanted Ben Simmons to shoot the ball, to provide an extra threat on the perimeter, to give Joel more room inside to operate.
Yeah.
While Joel can't operate from the perimeter, we know that he's best down low.
Right.
So being on that Nets team where Ben Simmons will likely run the 5 sometimes, he'll have 4 guys out the perimeter around him, so he won't have to be out there.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing with the Nets too. I guess see how Ben fits, but like I think it's preseason, but they had Claxton out there with them.
I don't think that will happen a lot unless they're just really struggling defensively.
Yeah.
Or there's like an elite guard who they want Ben Simmons to guard. I think that's the only way that those two touch the floor together.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. Like I said, it's whoever said that. I'd rather have Andre Drummond shooting more threes this year, but I don't, like you said, he doesn't need to do that this year. And going on with Philly, you kind of realized that it wasn't a good fit with him not shooting. That's why people hated it so much. But I don't think Brooklyn really complained about it.
Yeah.
Especially if he brings defensively what most of us thinks he will.
Yeah.
But no.
Speaking of Andre Drummond, over or under this season, Andre Drummond, a 3-point attempt a game. What do you think? Do you think he'll take more than 1 3-pointer a game?
I actually, seeing that last night, I looked up his career stats. I think he's only attempted more than 1 year, maybe 2 years.
Wow.
Maybe. I could be wrong. But
he must have gotten the lab then.
I can't remember. It was maybe 1 attempt per game. I can't remember. So you said over what, 1?
Yeah.
Per game?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll do it in the regular season.
Yeah.
But it's a better chance of him making them than Ben Simmons.
Yeah. He'll be open to shoot him, so maybe he gets tempted sometimes. It's like, yeah, I made 3 in the preseason. Might as well, yeah.
Yeah, flashbacks, start thinking about it.
Out of Ben Simmons, I'm going to take Andre Drummond out. Do you think Ben Simmons shoots more threes this season than JaVale McGee? Because no. JaVale McGee shot a couple in the preseason as well.
No.
I think JaVale will try to shoot some.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I don't see Ben doing it. He said he would. Even in the preseason, I don't think he's even thought about attempting it.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at his shot attempts, he's only taking like 6-7 shots a game at the most. And I don't expect that number to jump highly in the regular season. So I think that, shots he'll defer to his scoring guys, KD and Kyrie. I think that's what he'll do. I think he'll operate as a playmaker.
Yeah.
Foremost, as always.
I think he'll be the playmaker and the, cutting guy, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, he'll sit in the dunker a lot.
Yeah.
Well, outside of that, those are the hot takes going into the season. We don't know what we're gonna do next week. We'll have something special planned for the first night of the season. Super excited for it. We are 1 week out from today. Jacob, before we close, do you want to end with anything for today's episode?
I don't think so. Some real hot takes. Some people kind of need to watch what they want to put out there.
Yeah, I hate that we couldn't agree. I hate that we couldn't agree with any of them. But
yeah,
I mean, we asked for hot takes. So
what's the one you think?
Maybe we're just playing it too safe.
What's the one you think would be split on the most?
Split on?
Yeah, like we would disagree the most with, like with each other.
Out of all of these, or just a hot take in general?
I guess these. We agreed on a lot of them.
Look at mine. What were yours again? Tell me yours.
The Timberwolves top 3 seed in the West, Pelicans conference finals, Kings make the playoffs, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan year, and the Donovan Mitchell Cavs playoff run.
I'd say either the Cavs or the Timberwolves ones. I think just because you are probably higher on those teams than I am, I'm
Yeah,
high on the Cavs in the regular season. I'm not very high on the Timberwolves, honestly. I think the Timberwolves will kind of underachieve. So probably the Timberwolves won.
yeah. I was thinking that probably that one.
Yeah.
Like I said, everything would have to go right for him, but I'd probably see the Timberwolves one. Maybe Cleveland. Maybe later on to be Cleveland. I guess later in the season, but right now, yeah, probably the Wolves one.
This will be another thing that we'll have to revisit like halfway through the season. So we'll be excited to do that when the time comes.
Yep.
But we'll see y'all next week on opening night. Crazy to say. Peace out, y'all.